you need to address this. You're the project director. If you're allowing this, you're approving of it without saying anything. Hey, we're going to take these key leaders and we're going to put them through some coaching training, and then we're going to give them each a certain amount of people to coach.
To have the family say, no, we're going to be at the lake in 3 weeks because on this job, I get to schedule a vacation. They're not going to call me halfway through and say, come back to the job site.
There were no planning meetings. There were no logistics meetings. The trades weren't being heard. Once we got through that, one of their executives called me 6 or 8 months ago, and he's like, this is the largest cash cow in the history of our business.
Hi, Mark Story. How are you?
I'm doing great, Myrna. How are you today?
I'm really excited to have you on the Business Leaders Podcast and for us to talk about CCS, Commercial Construction Services, which you started about a year ago, though you've had 37 years in commercial construction. And I love the approach you're using with CCS, and I'm excited that we're talking to our audience today about that. Your focus at CCS in your new firm is to really develop, high performance teams in the field of construction where you've been living for a couple of decades, in commercial construction.
Yeah.
So I'm such an advocate of coaching, and I want to hear about how you are bringing that into the world of commercial construction. Where are you physically located? And I think you work nationwide.
Yes, I live just outside of Boise, Idaho,
Mm.
and we cover the entire United States. I'm working in Dallas and Tampa and DC, and we're talking to a client in California. We cover the whole nation.
No, that's great. And the kinds of commercial projects that people invite you to are data centers and healthcare buildings and stadiums and education facilities. So it's quite a variety of large commercial construction projects, right?
Yes, it is. Yep. I've got a long list of projects on my resume that I've been on, and just trying to apply those lessons learned to those specific project types.
Yeah, anytime you can get a pro who's been there and done that, you're ahead of the game. And so I can see that. And then you add coaching. And so you like to tell clients you operate with a three-legged stool. And my understanding is some clients invite you in once they've won the project and they want it to go smooth. And some clients invite you in so they can win the project and then it will go smooth. So why don't you walk us through kind of the three-legged stool model that you have?
Yeah, so we look at it as, so it's planning, scheduling, operations, and if you imagine the stool, the coaching is the seat that brings all those legs together.
Okay.
So I have partners with the planning and scheduling software, best in the world, Elevate Construction. Then I bring my 37 years of experience in the industry, and coaching really helped me. And then we bring Debbie Lundberg in. She's a partner that helps me with the coaching stuff and does all the background. And we really try to bring it full circle with the three of us working together.
You coach not just the project management, but their team, and you design that for each project individually, right?
That's correct. I mean, we even coach business unit leaders and heads of operations and project directors, general superintendents, senior superintendents, you name it.
I think it's important that this field of commercial construction gets touched with coaching as you're doing that, because it helps just grease the wheels for people to get along who are working together. And anymore, you're working on screens like we're on now, or somebody's on the job site and somebody else is talking to a vendor, and your bricks are sitting in a port in Los Angeles or something. You know what I mean? There's so many moving parts that having people cooperate successfully is something coaching can really help do.
It absolutely does, for sure.
Well, I like the coaching as part of the secret sauce. And I know you have a coaching story that you might like to share, because they have a phrase that they say, this person I'm dating talks to me in therapy speak.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I don't know if I really want to be managing their emotional regulation with them right now. And sometimes there's coaching speak. So people have a variety of experiences with coaching. And I think from time to time you come across people who resist it. Like, I've been doing this job 10 years. Why are you telling me how to talk to my colleagues or my vendor? Like, what's this about?
Yeah. So I've got so many stories, and one just came to mind. So one of the gentlemen that I'm coaching was really reluctant. He had been through some coaching stuff in the past and he didn't really feel like it applied to construction. He's a high D, right? So in the DISC program, he's a high achiever, gets things done. He's a driver. And he was really, Debbie and I were like, man, this one's going to be tough. And I built a great relationship with this person. I really enjoy working with him. And so we're trying to imagine, like, I'm a general superintendent, field ops manager. I go to a job, but it's not my job to run the job. My job is to ride sidecar with them, whisper in their ears, take some notes, have some conversations. Hey, we're missing this. Let me help you build this plan, kind of thing, right? So I do a lot of whispering in this person's ear, right? So we had some teammates that were not showing up to work on time, not getting their work done, some other things that were just not appropriate, right? And so I'm constantly saying, hey, we got to take care of this. You need to address this. You're the project director. If you're allowing this, you're approving of it without saying anything.
You have to
right?
set standards and draw boundaries
That's
and
right.
manage them. Yeah.
We had about 3 or 4 tough conversations that he had to have in a 1-week time frame. And I left and went on to another project, and he called me. He's like, if it wasn't for this coaching, I wouldn't have been able to address this. I would not have addressed it right. I would have, came across the wrong way. I would have been talking down to them. And every one of these conversations were a good conversation. And it is really working. So, and I could tell you, we could talk for hours about it, but it is really important to get these, especially large teams, get them coaching. When you need to get, 30 to 200 people working well together.
Yes.
That's a big lift, and it's a challenge, and not everybody has those people skills to go in and figure out how to talk to somebody.
People on construction jobs are not hired for people skills. Maybe the business development person is, or the one who's getting the permits pulled. But other than that, they're hired for other areas of expertise, not because they're smooth talkers, And so I think I love your approach to building optimal teams, high performance teams, where you say you're already good at what you do, but the next level up is optimal performance this way in terms of knitting together the team. And that's what I can bring to you. So they're not doing anything wrong, but here's an area where they haven't had much attention on how to perform, in an optimal way, high performance way. So what is the feedback after they've worked with your firm? And so I love that one person who said, I had these 4 tough conversations and wow, it's made such a difference in how I'm managing that job site or that production effort. And I'm better at that now, and they're better performing on the job. So that's one takeaway. Do you have another one you'd like to share?
So we do surveys occasionally. We try not to give people any more work because, quite honestly, when I show up to the job, sometimes it does feel like, I'm like, hey guys, we need to get working on these things. If we don't, this is going to happen, right? And typically it's all around schedule and planning and bringing trades in and having prep meetings and setting themselves up for success in the future, which we call it clearing the snow off the snowplow. When it builds up, you got to get it off of there so you can be efficient, right? So we send out surveys because we truly want to be better. In the coaching, there's a lot of feedback, right? So we feel like it's really important for us, like, we've got to walk the same line, right? We've got to ask for feedback, and then when they give us feedback, we've got to make adjustments, right? And so we just sent out a survey. We are getting tremendous great news back. It's all anonymous. And then a lot of the folks I've been able to build a strong enough relationship with that it's not anonymous. I'm like, hey, I just want to sit down. You just tell me how I'm doing, right? And I wasn't always good at that. That's not easy to hear, that you're not perfect, right? Or that you're flawed, right? Or the way you said something really set the team off in the wrong way and things of that nature. But so our teams this one team I've been there for about 8 months now. The team went through a lot of, they hadn't worked together. It's 2 JVs on the project. So you have all these different companies and cultures coming together and they don't automatically align, right?
Right,
And,
right.
and, and the leader of the GC team can't just say, this is my company culture. We're going to force you guys into this, right? That never works, right? So you have to figure out how to get together and do it together. So we force a lot of these guys that maybe force isn't the right word, but some of these high performers just go do things on their own and just get it done, right? And they step over people and so we're working through that. So I'm like, hey, did you talk to this person before you went and did that? No, I don't need to. I'm the project director.
Yeah. There's a
It's
sequence, and this is out of sequence, and these are the
yeah.
knock-on effects of that.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're just getting tremendous feedback. We are another project that I'm on right now as far as the planning and scheduling. We've pulled that project back several months
Mm-hmm.
on completion dates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the team is really happy they can actually see the schedule versus using an old CPM schedule to try to plan work.
Right.
Trades are like, man, we are so glad you're here because all these guys, all these workers, men and women, they show up, they just want to come to work and have a good day, right?
Right. Right. They want to
And
feel like they got accomplished what was on the docket to get
yeah,
accomplished too. They're happy to put in
yeah,
a good day's work if people aren't wandering around waiting for
yeah,
somebody to tell them to start, or the stuff's not here, or
yeah,
somebody else is here to do it when I thought we were doing this. Hmm.
yeah. And some of the things, it's really important to me because I come from the craft. I was a concrete guy for 25 years. I poured and finished concrete. Um, So when I walk on a job, I have a lens of how are the craft workers doing? Does this job site look like it's respecting the craft?
Hmm.
And we look for, do you have the right amount of restrooms on the site? Are they being cleaned properly? Is
Hmm.
there a break area that they can get to that's
Hmm.
a good, safe place to go have their
Hmm.
breaks? And we find an awful lot of times that a lot of teams they don't even know what the minimum requirement is for restrooms. And
Right.
I show up to teams and I'm like, hey, last I knew we all had to use the restroom. So
Hmm.
let's see your number of craft. Where's your density of work?
Hmm.
And you will not believe how many people will seek our team out and say, thank you for coming here. You're the reason we have good restrooms.
Well,
And
and there's a kind of respect that can be overlooked when you're focused on the major components of the project, right? You have
that's right.
that 30,000 foot overview.
Hmm.
And when you let JV partners and other people on the job for like 2 of the 6 months, they have clear vision of the landscape of what's happening. Boy, they can be more effective partners with you
Yes.
because you're maintaining that 30,000 foot view that everybody can see. And
Right.
so that's part of what you add is it might be burdensome for a project manager or somebody else to make those calls to loop somebody in. But with tools that you use and the coaching oversight, it's like everybody gets the recipe. We all know what we're cooking. Nobody
Yeah.
is mysterious about what's happening. So they can all do
That's right.
their role the way you want it done for a high performance team.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our goal.
The 360-degree view that you have in commercial construction, because of all of your years of experience, includes not just the anchor piece. So if you're putting in a Costco or you're putting in a sports stadium or you're putting in some industrial warehouses, there's more stuff being built around there. There are trucks back and forth and there's power grids that's being leveraged and somebody has asphalt and the road's not finished.
Mhm.
You take that whole view, not just your piece of it, but what's happening around you too.
Yeah, it's, everybody's talking about data centers and semiconductor plants and battery plants and all these big hyperscale facilities, right? Which
Mhm.
we should be. But a lot of things get lost, the ancillary buildings outside of them. One of them, for example, we approached a partner to build a bunch of warehouse type buildings adjacent to a huge semiconductor
Mhm.
facility. We were turned down, and that was okay.
Mhm.
Now there's at least 10 warehouse distribution centers in that same on that same piece of ground. Fast
Mhm.
forward 2 years, right? So a lot of I've got a good friend of mine that he has a company and they travel around on these mega sites. They're building a huge RV park near a power plant that's being built in Mississippi. It's going to have 22,000 workers on it.
Oh my gosh.
So Yeah, and then when you think about stadiums being built, one I'm on right now in Tampa, there's already a plan for north of that stadium for a whole new apartments, hotels, restaurants,
Yeah, people
massive
visit, people
development.
eat, people live and work
Yes,
there, people get on
yes,
trucks and
yeah,
drive roads, and yeah, all of that stuff happens too.
yeah,
And you're still going to have to cooperate with it during the year or
that's right.
2 years or 3 years of your build, right?
Yeah.
Well, I really love this model of a 360-degree view, but one of the things that you're doing is bringing the leading edge of coaching into the construction vertical. And that kind of secret sauce is allowing that vertical to take advantage of those teams of people of things that have been happening in other workplace environments but have not caught on yet in commercial
Mhm.
construction. And just imagine the dollars you save with the compounding effect of teams getting along pretty seamlessly when two-thirds of them don't work for the same company. It's the JV doing this and it's the different partner doing that. They're here for 3 months, they're here for 6 months, they're gone after 4 months, and you've got to still keep it all woven together. So the
Yeah.
coaching skills you bring is the glue that lets you be cooperating for a more effective build.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you brought that up. So a lot of times the coaching we see it at the C-suite level, right? And I was lucky enough to work for a firm a few years ago that finally got it right. I've worked for a couple that tried some different things, at least in my mind. That's my assessment.
Mhm.
And so what we did was we said, hey, we're going to take these key leaders and we're going to put them through some coaching training, and then we're going to give them each certain amount of people to coach.
Mhm.
And so Debbie and I do the exact same thing,
Mhm.
or it's very close. It's a little bit
Mhm.
different. We do a lot of times we're on a project for like say 3 to 6 months, so we have to speed our coaching up. We're willing
Mhm.
to do it much longer. We're good. We
Mhm.
wanted
Mhm.
to. Our goal is to coach the team up to where they can continue to coach the larger project team, and
Mhm.
then it becomes organic, right? You get good at those tough conversations, and then they just happen automatically. That you don't have to be a coach for that person.
Mhm.
But one of the things that we focus on with our clients is what is the cost of retention?
Yes.
And people, there's all these sayings, right? People don't leave companies, they leave bad leaders, things like that, right? But
Mhm.
and right now, with all the data centers and all this stuff, there's a lot of really high pay out there, right? So people in our industry have jumped for years for $5,000 or $10,000 a year, which is not life-changing money, right? Well, there's a lot more out there now,
Right.
but is it the right culture? Because I think now more than ever, at least my experience in the industry, now more than ever, people are focused on culture. And this coaching really helps to bring that culture out, right? Just because you have a bunch of words of accountability, teamwork, family, stuff like that on a poster,
Mhm.
how do you really make that real, right? And the coaching helps to bring that out. And I think now that if people are making a good wage, a fair wage, and they have great culture, they're probably going to stay, right?
Well, and then the time that you've invested in them on the last two projects, you still get to keep. That investment returns for you because you
Hmm.
haven't turned them over.
Yeah.
And the when you have colleagues that are happy to cooperate with each other, there's almost no price tag for that, in terms of we're
Yeah.
going to get this done and we're happy we got it done together. I mean, a high functioning workplace produces so much better work.
Yes. Yeah. I see it all the time. I went to a project a couple years ago. It was a very, very large project, several billion dollars.
Mhm.
They had been in operation for about a year and a half,
Mhm.
struggling the entire way. I went out and said, "Hey, I want to take over all the operations, but we've got to make some changes with some team members." Unfortunately, that's part of this, right? And we had I don't know, probably 200-person team at the time.
Mhm.
And I told the president of the company, he asked me what it looked like, and I said, all we're missing is the D8s and the seagulls, and we'd
Mhm.
have a landfill, right? And he was kind of shocked, that kind of hurts your pride a little bit, right? But
Mhm.
we went in and said, hey, we are going to get this place cleaned up. We're going to have the safest, most productive, cleanest job
Mhm.
site. And once we started setting standards and getting buy-in, it wasn't just me like laying down an edict that said you're going to do this, right?
Mhm.
We put the coaching program in place. We
Mhm.
brought the team together. We made sure that the right people, everyone had a voice.
Mhm.
There were no planning meetings, there were no logistics meetings, the trades weren't being heard. And once we got through that, one of their executives called me 6 or 8 months ago and he's like, this is the largest cash cow in the history of our business.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like, it's not all about money, but the money will come. Like, I'm focused now, and what we did was it was about people first, right?
Yes.
Let's make sure our people are happy. We're listening to them. We're getting things done. We're taking action as leaders.
Mhm.
And also the people part is also our trade partners. And I mean, there were no temp roads. This is a 500-acre site. When it rained, you couldn't get around. We went out and paved roads. We got all the right amount of J-Johns. We
Mhm.
made sure that there were break areas in close proximity.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many people would come out, trades, people would come out and just thank us for getting this done, right? And our safety numbers were awful. Our safety and quality numbers were awful. It went from the bottom of the barrel to the safest project the in the company.
Now you're attracting top talent. Now people,
Yes,
those JV partners want to bid that work site. They'll be more careful with their bid because they want that job. Their guys want to work on that job. What do
that's
you have
right.
to bid it out to win that job? And
Yeah.
that's invisible money that got saved.
Yes.
They didn't mark that up 15% because the guy's a jerk, and I'm
Yeah.
paying a jerk tax. They have not nice words for that, but
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
paying a trouble tax,
That's
because
right.
they're hard to work with. No, you're getting a benefit discount because my guys want that job. We're
That's
working
right.
with, oh, good. Then my next 3 months are going to be cake because they just let me go there and work the work we know we're supposed to do.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
Yep.
those profits are invisible except a year later, 18 months later,
Hmm.
you have top team and you're not wasting money because things are going wrong. And then that's when that money shows up. So it's not right away, but it is so worth it to make that investment.
Yeah, it is.
Well, so if somebody wanted to work with you, how would they get a hold of you, Mark, and say, I'm tired of lackadaisical teams and things not getting done and the list of excuses about why it's not ready. How do I clean that up in my construction project?
Well, right now our website is being built. We took off faster than I thought we would, so I'm a little behind on
I
some
know they can
things.
find you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, yes, they can find me on LinkedIn, Mark Story,
Yeah.
CCS Construction or Commercial Construction Services.
Hmm.
You can call me 612-968-0257. You can email me at mark@storyccs.com.
Very
Be
good.
glad to
We'll
come out
include
and,
those in the description so
oh,
people can
oh,
ping you.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
include that there. And I know you're a coaching convert and I'm a coaching evangelist. But when everyone understands the rules of the roads and they all drive between the lines, it's such a better drive. You
Yeah,
relax and do your part. And then you
yes,
go home having had a good day, day after day. There's enough projects that have things that it's extra rain or my shipping, is stuck in the port and it's going to be another few days. Enough of that happens anyway that you don't
yes.
need to compound it because you're dropping the ball or your team is unhappy.
Yeah,
So, yeah, enough of that happens anyway that to close out good projects with happy people is a job worth doing.
yeah, yeah. When the team's not functioning well and you add all those other things
Oh
that
gosh.
are going to happen,
Hmm.
that's when you end up with turnover. Teams are infighting, they're frustrated, they don't know how to have the conversations. Their minds are just not in the right place to address it properly, right? So,
Right. Well,
and
calling you in to say, let's go, whether it's before you've won the project, after you've won the project, or if something needs a turnaround, like, okay, we're calling this super chef because our cooks aren't making it happen in the kitchen, then
yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you're doing this. And hey, it's another way for coaching to make life better.
And so one of the things is some of the things are really simple.
Hmm.
So the best run projects that I was leading on were the projects that I got to be involved at pre-con, right? And we
Hmm.
would set it a team and we would decide how are we going to run our project,
Hmm.
right? So you start out at pre-con, you've got this small group of leaders and you
Hmm.
start talking about it, like
It's like
simple
first
things.
principles planning.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And then as the team grows and there's different personalities, there's different ideas, you've already got a plan. You can
Hmm.
add to it, you can morph it, but you're all collaborating, right?
Hmm.
And listen, not everybody's going to win, get it their way all the time, right? That's not a good world anyways, right? But
Hmm.
if you start that earlier versus trying to bolt it on when the team's already in the fight, right? It feels like a whole lot more work. But if you start that early, simple things like who's going to manage the fence? What's our PTO calendar going to look like? Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I have teams all the time that don't want to talk about PTO, and we want everybody to have PTO. We
Well,
need
for
everybody.
safety, tired people make mistakes with big machines. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, and even the management team, like you don't make good decisions when you're burnt out, right? Whether it's financial or safety or quality or scope, whatever it is, because I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made every day, right?
Hmm.
And so a lot of times people will like I say hide, but they're not really forward with their PTO. And we push teams to let's put it on the calendar for the entire year.
Hmm.
And let's look at the overlap and then let's start talking about it now so that
Hmm.
our project doesn't fail. You know, if two people are gone on a 15 or 20 person team for the same week, that means all their work doesn't stop. Their work has
Right.
to be shared, right? It's those simple things
Hmm. Hmm.
that make a huge difference.
Well, and everyone that works on the job has family, other interests in their life. They have kids or parents or something. And to have the family say, no, we're going to be at the lake in 3 weeks
Yeah,
because on this job, I get to schedule a vacation. They're not going to call me halfway through and say, come back to the job site. And
right.
so they get to show up for their family. And so the benefits, again, they add up even though they may not be on the balance sheet. Well, I
Yeah,
really love that you're doing this, Mark. Thank you for
yeah.
bringing coaching into commercial construction. And everyone will know, look below to figure out how to reach out to Mark. If you have a construction project coming up or a work site that could use some coaching, have a conversation with Mark. It was so good to meet you today.
Very nice to meet you, Myrna. Thank you for having me on. It's been a great conversation.
Oh, good. Well, much success in your new adventure, and I
Yeah,
know projects will be going smoothly when you're on them. Thanks so much, Mark. Okay,
thank you.
everybody. See you next time.